Hello, everyone. I am going to go into another movie review. This one is going to be on Disclosure Day, which I saw earlier today. I stayed away from spoilers. I like the trailer. I was interested in, it got my attention. But to be honest, I've gone to the movies, like to the theater, countless times, right? I had never felt such an urge to just walk out of a theater. But that's what I felt with this film. But I didn't, I stayed, I watched the entire thing. There was nothing extra at the end of the credits, It was nothing like I expected. It was okay. Good news. Let's start with the pros. And I have one pro to the film. Emily Blunt's character, even though her character, it was shaky at the beginning, but she darn near by herself had to carry the film. Like, she carried the film. If you take Emily Blunt's character out of the movie, like her as an actress, she carried the entire movie. But that's not a good thing when you have a cast full of people and there's so much stuff going on. But that's the only, there's a lot going on with this. At the beginning of the film, let me pull up let's see here. Well, we got the critics at 80%, which, I don't know. A critic's up at 80%. I don't know if I overlooked something, if I missed something, if it's something that I didn't, pay attention to, or I don't know. And then we got the fans, over 5,000 ratings. They're at 70%. I don't know, but I don't know. It just was, I'm trying, let me see where I can start. On IMDb, there's the chase scene, there's the farmhouse. I'm probably gonna go into spoilers with all this. But oh my gosh. How can I explain a story? Um, as you guys know, this is about the government keeping secrets from all of us about extraterrestrials, alien life forms, right? That's pretty. You gather that from the trailer. Um, the beginning of the movie, they introduce Emily Blunt's character as a weather reporter, like she reports the weather. I do have to say that part of it at the beginning was the worst part because I felt like she didn't fit that mold. You know, she was pretty consumed about getting her career going, and I guess she wanted to sort of climb that ladder, um, and just her mannerisms and it just wasn't believable. Like she just didn't fit that. Um, and then as we went further into the story, she shifted away from thinking about her career and started going towards, you know, how she was wrapped up into what was going on with the aliens and whatnot. She definitely fit that, you know, as an actress, she fit that part of the character much better than where she started at the beginning. Um, at the beginning with this role with telling the weather, stuff like that, it was just like, yeah, I didn't connect with it um, at all. Like I just didn't connect with it. And then you have this guy's character. I mean, I was pretty indifferent about everyone else in the movie. It wasn't like they were bad. It just I just felt indifferent, to be honest. I felt indifferent about the characters and what was going. I came into the film more interested in where are the aliens? Are people going to get abducted? Um, like, are we gonna be on an alien? You know, are they gonna show an alien spaceship? And you know, how is all that gonna go? And then I remember they had the scene where you had a spaceship coming through the clouds, and there was all these flames. I was looking for that sort of um, story, right? And that's just not what we got. We didn't get that story at all. Everything centered around um, this this person running away from the government agency, which I don't know if it's an official government agency or it's not an official government agency, but he was running away from the government agency the entire time. Um, the entire time. We were in the movie is over 2 hours. He was running away from the government or non-government agency the entire time. It was like it was like the chase scene that just didn't end. It was like, how much longer are they gonna string this out? It was over 2 hours of them being chased. And I was like, well, when are we gonna get to, the experiments and the alien invasion and the spaceships coming through the clouds, and you know what I mean? I'm think my like no lie, my brain was more going towards Independence Day, something like that. And that's not what this movie is. It's not that at all. It's simply him wanting to tell the world that aliens exist. And you had people from this unofficial agency branch of the government trying to get him from sharing all this information with everybody else. That was over 2 hours. That's basically all that it was. Um, but that's not the biggest problem. And I'm gonna see if I can find where the film went off the rails. You see this right here? This is what I came to the theater looking for. I thought the aliens were going to be abducting people and doing and trying to do experiments on them and trying to figure out, what are human beings made of? How can we take over their brains? Like how can we you know what I mean? That's where my brain was going, because that's how this scene was presented in the trailer. Right? That's how it was presented in the trailer. Like, you see this little girl on the table and she looks up and it looks like she's pretty frightened, right? And she sees this alien just staring at her, and I'm like, oh shoot. This, I have to see what happens with this. And when we finally get to this scene, it goes nothing like how I thought it was gonna go. It doesn't have anything to do with that at all. I'm like, oh my gosh. I've sat here for 2 hours, and then we get to this part and it's not what I was thinking at all. It's not that. Oh my gosh. Is that on me? Like, that's my honest question. Like, is that on me? Of assuming that this screenshot or this part in the movie trailer, like, did my brain go where it was supposed to go, and thinking that, oh goodness, this little girl just got caught or abducted by an alien or aliens, and now they're gonna do all kinds of probing her brain and all this type stuff, right? Like, that's where my mind went. So, like, you guys can let me know, am I correct in assuming that's what this was about? But that, like, where did your mind go when you saw this in the trailer? I'm just curious. Oh my gosh. This part, and this again, I'm going to put a spoiler warning attached to these episodes on these films so you guys can see the films first, because I don't know how to talk around or I guess I don't want to talk around what I've seen. This is not a probe or some type of experiment. They're essentially giving him some sort of power or ability to communicate with them, understand them. That's essentially all that this is. This particular scene, again, the characters are being chased by these government, kind of sort of government officials, and they're being shot at, stuff like that. They almost die. And Emily Blunt's character is having some sort of near panic attack. And this would be the cringe moment, even for her character, where she starts going off on things she was traumatized by when she was growing up, or it was just the way that it was, the tone of it, the delivery of it, it just wasn't like, it was just out of where she's good at as an actress. It felt over the top for sure. And of course he's getting her to calm down, you know. But again, this is in the process. This is like an hour and a half into the film. They're being chased by, they're still being chased. We start the movie with the guy, he's being chased, and over an hour and a half later, they're still being chased. It was just like, oh boy. I don't know if I have much more to say about this. It's just this scene where one of the guards or whoever was chasing them, one of the guys, like one of the main guys, he rams their car into the train that's going by on the tracks. The car gets stuck. The front of the car gets stuck under the train somehow. And the train is literally pulling the car for miles down the track without coming loose, without exploding. You know what I mean? It was just like, it again, it's one of those moments that just take you out of it, and it's like, this is really not believable. This setup. But They're trying to get on to the train while the car is stuck. Like the train's moving. See this track here? They're on the rear of the car is on the other track, so the other train is coming this way. So now she has to she has to grab his hand before the other train comes and hits the back of the car. I'm like, so that's when you fast forward to when they finally get inside the train. She's having the near panic attack. And even during this, there's that agent that's chasing them and he's shooting at them from the main road, trying to kill them. He has point blank shots at them. Like, because the road that the guard is shooting from is like right there. And he's literally missing them. There's no trees in the way. Like, he's just missing them. And this dude is literally hanging there on the ladder trying to grab her, and they should have been gone like a few times. And the guy shooting at them, he keeps missing. The car hasn't exploded. The like that amount of force on the front of the car, like the hood should have come off of it. Something, right? But oh boy. I I don't know. I don't know. This part is at the very beginning of the film where this guy who's, and these are the officials, like this is the main guy here. You see the back of his head. This is this guy's new girlfriend, or they're in some type of relationship, right? But then behind them, you have another sort of government agent, and they want this thing that he has, which is some sort of alien technology that you have to be careful how you use it, or something bad happens. But this is what they're after, or part of what they're after. So they want this piece of alien tech, and they want all the files that this guy has. And he actually works for the government or non-government agency, so he knows all the secrets. So since he knows all the secrets, he's like, this can't be a secret anymore. So everyone needs to know. I get that part. Like I get that part of it. Like it just, I get that part. It just, they're chasing him for 2 hours, right? And then his girlfriend, I think this is Jane. The character's name is Jane. She doesn't know what's going on at this point. She doesn't know about the alien tech. She doesn't know about the alien files and all this going back, 50 something, 70 something years. She doesn't know about it, all this stuff. You guys, when he tells his girlfriend the truth, her response, he shows her the files and all this stuff, right? And then he tells her, he's like, I'm gonna tell the entire world this. Her response was what just completely threw the entire film off, because she brought religion, God, faith, and all that stuff into the conversation for some reason. And it didn't make any sense. I would rather, let me see if I can show you guys that scene where they're having this conversation. Like they make it to the farmhouse, and he finally tells his girlfriend like what's going on, because she keeps asking like, hey, what's, why are these people chasing you? Oh my goodness, I might not find it. I don't think I see it. No, I don't see it. So, when he tells her about the aliens, and he's going to put the information out there online and everything, her response is that the right thing to do? Right? Now, there is nothing wrong with saying, is that the right thing to do? And people are going to freak out, stuff like that, right? That's not the problem. They have it in the story where his girlfriend used to be a nun, like a nun. And I don't know if she drifted away from her faith, or I don't know what happened. But she was still pretty grounded, and she had like wearing a cross or a crucifix around her neck. And that theme kind of played out in certain parts of the film. But she basically said, if he tells everyone about the aliens, and people of faith find out that humans aren't the only people in the universe, that's going to negatively affect their belief in God. If I'm following what she said correctly, like people, she was like, what is that going to do to people's faith in something higher than them when you introduce aliens that would also be higher than them? She's like, isn't that going to mess up everyone's belief system? Because then that means that people aren't the only ones in the universe. And that's going to ruin people's faith. Look, it makes no sense to me. It makes no sense. So when his girlfriend tells him that, he's like, that doesn't make any, like, that's not going to make a difference, or that doesn't make any sense to have that argument. People still need to know, and that shouldn't affect people's faith. And so then his girlfriend eventually calls the nun at the monastery and asks the same question, like, isn't, if there's aliens out there, isn't that going to affect people's faith? And then the nun at the monastery basically says it's foolish of us as human beings to think that we're the only beings that God created in the entire universe. Which I was like, yeah, a normal person would come to that conclusion. So why is Jane's thinking going in this direction in the first place? It made no sense. Like, it made no sense. Okay. So that threw off the film. The other thing that threw off the film is this thing that the guy is holding in his hand. This dude, you see the back of his head, that's the main government official guy. He also has this device. So the main government guy, he uses this device to, they call it, was it jump into someone? Basically, he can transport his conscience into someone else's body, right? So that he can get into their mind. He can literally see through their eyes, right? See where they are. So this is how the government kept finding them, because the main government guy or non-government guy, however you want to put it, he kept finding people that he can jump in and look through their eyes to see where they were, right? And then he would have conversations with them, and he would be like, okay, tell me where you are. He could partially take control of their body, all that stuff. Like, he was jumping, you know. So here's the crazy part. So the government guy, he jumps into Jane trying to get to her boyfriend. So Jane almost kills her boyfriend. But her boyfriend already knows that the main government guy can jump into other people using this alien technology. So does her boyfriend leave her at the monastery? No. He lets his girlfriend tag along the entire time, even after he realized that the main government guy was jumping into Jane, trying to get to him. And I'm thinking, you need to just leave her somewhere. Like, have her stay somewhere safe, but you need to leave her, because she can't be trusted anymore. And yeah, he just didn't leave her. He didn't leave her at the monastery. So eventually the government guy takes over Jane again. He could see through her eyes where they were. So they kept almost getting caught. Like I said, they were getting chased for 2 hours of the film, like constantly getting chased, almost getting caught, escaping, chased, almost caught, escaping. And then I think they actually got caught. Then they escaped again. And it was like, so, the entire time I'm asking, like, what happened to the alien invasion? Like, is there supposed to be some sort of takeover? Like what's going on? And then it became pretty clear. And this is major spoiler alert. It was actually the other way around. It wasn't the aliens doing experiments on the people like I thought I saw in the trailer. The government was doing experiments on the aliens, and the aliens were trying to communicate and get their message out so that someone could help them. Because the government who had, or whatever agency that was, they were just exploiting their technology and, like I said, experiments and all this other type stuff, reverse engineering stuff, getting whatever they could get out of these creatures. So the creatures found the guy that I just showed you, Jane's boyfriend, and they found Emily Blunt's character and said, we're going to pick you two people out of everybody on the planet, and we're going to give you a way to communicate with us. And then you'll have sympathy, empathy, and you'll get us out of this mess. You know, the secret will be out, and the government can be caught, right? I get that part. It's just not it's just not what I was expecting from what they showed in the trailers. That's not what it was. In the movie trailer, if they would have shown the government capturing the aliens and doing experiments on them like they did in the actual film, then I would have went to the theater thinking, okay, the aliens need help because they ran into a bunch of bad people. But that's not how it was in the trailer. It was presented in the trailer like the aliens had caught a little girl and they were about to do some type of probe on her. So I came into the theater thinking, or asking the question of, how is the little girl going to get out of this? Who's going to come along to help her? How did she get caught in the first place? The aliens didn't capture the little girl. Like, I did see a I did see something with this. Hold on. The aliens did not, quote unquote, capture the little girl. This is the little girl. You see this deer that looks like a terribly computer generated deer? That's the aliens, or one of them. The aliens would show up as farm animals or birds or something. You see these birds up here are actually canaries. So one of the aliens came to her as a canary. And that's how they showed up. So when she was little, this is Emily Blunt's character. But when she was 10 years old, and the alien shows up while she was at home, and she woke up out of her sleep in the middle of the night. She walks out of her house at 10 years old. 10. And when I say she walked out of her house, she didn't even leave her bedroom. She just walked through the wall out of the house. Snowing outside, but she said the snow, because this is all a flashback that Emily Blunt's character is going through. She's saying the snow was very warm. She followed the deer. There was a deer, a fox. Was it a raccoon? It might have been a raccoon. It was a bird. and I think it was the bird was a canary. But anyway, she follows him, and then when she goes to their ship or whatever, that's when she ends up on a table, and the deer ends up turning into the alien, and she's looking up at him like, what the heck, right? And then she looks next to her, and next to her is the little boy who turns out to be Jane's boyfriend, but, you know, later on. So the main guy that they're chasing, he got some sort of power, ability to communicate with the aliens. And then Emily Blunt's character, she was a little girl, was chosen by the aliens, and she's able to speak their language, and she's able to read people's, I don't know, like not even read their mind, but just see everything about them. She knows everyone's name, their past, all kinds of stuff. Like she can see everything about your life, like the entire timeline. And that's her character. So they're laying on the table next to each other, and that's how they formed some sort of bond. So by the time the audience is introduced to these characters, they're adults, and they're basically, Emily Blunt's character is drawn to him, but she doesn't know or doesn't remember why she's, doesn't remember him at all, doesn't know why she's drawn to him. She's just going off of instinct, whatever. And then when they finally, because they can't remember this event, like everything when they were 10 years old and before then is blank, like they can't remember. So they finally meet, and I don't know, it's just this guy recreated her entire house, right? So he's the one he was also a part of the government agency, but he decided that he didn't agree with the main government guy. So he broke off from the government agency and said the information needs to get out there, and he's looking for a way to do it. So he recreates Emily's house, or that character's house, to trigger her memories, right? Or unblock the memories. And then that's when these two realized that when they were both small, they met each other or saw each other on the alien spacecraft, and connect, or they have some type of bond, right? Oh boy. So this particular scene where she's holding, this is another one of the alien tech things. This is another scene. Yes, they are still getting chased by these government officials, and she's using this tech to make them and the entire house actually invisible. So the government shows up, and they can see the people on infrared, but when they open up the warehouse is empty, because she's holding this thing and making everybody invisible. So they can see people are in the building on the infrared, but they can't see anybody right there, and that part was actually funny. But yeah, she started getting pain from this part of it eventually. So she was telling everybody, okay, they can't see us. Everybody go ahead and go and escape. This is more than 2 hours into the film, by the way. They're still getting chased. So they end up escaping, and they finally get to the newsroom, or back to the newsroom. And that's when we get to, she tells the world basically that something's going wrong. See, like, they have this stuff connected to their head. They're starting to remember what happened to them when they were little. So like I said, they basically recreated the whole thing, the house, or her house, and triggered the memories, and yeah. Oh boy. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything I'm missing. Here is the bird. If the bird looks fake to you, it looks fake to everyone. The animals that they use to represent the aliens, they all look so terribly fake. Just terribly computer generated. It was so bad. Oh my goodness. I was thinking, it's 2026. Why is the CGI so bad in a high budget film? Why is it so bad? But anyway, so once the bird shows up, like their window to their apartment is open, the bird flies in, looks at her, and she's like, oh, it's a bird. And they're like, okay, it's just standing here, it's just sitting on our table looking at us. And then her boyfriend sitting there, he shoos the bird off, the bird flies away, and then all of a sudden Emily Blunt's character starts talking in Russian, and whatever powers or whatever they gave her, abilities they gave her when she was 10, it triggered everything. And yeah, she started she was able to, like I said, she was able to see everyone's, like, all their businesses in the street. Like, she tells you what you ate for breakfast, the conversations you had, all this stuff. Like, she just sees everything. Ah, boy. I can see where they were going with this. I just think that it could have been presented to the audience. Gosh, like, I don't even know how you would do that. But to me, watching the film, I felt completely misled. I felt completely misled with what the movie was about. I'm so used to there being so much information in the trailer, and what the trailer used to hook you. It's not what it's not what it seems to be, or what you would normally assume it to be. I don't know. This part, this part is not in the film until darn near the very end. Like the movie is practically over, and you finally start to see all these things. But the rub is that this is not actually happening in real time. This is all footage of what happened years prior that never got released to the public. So they go to the news station, they upload all the files, and they run the footage like nationwide, and then it starts jumping internationally, and then you have people around the world just looking at what in the world is all this stuff. So none of this stuff really happens like present in the film. This is all just the footage being released. Like, we're gonna show you the experiments that people did on the aliens. We're going to show you the crash landings. We're going to show you footage of what Navy pilots saw when they were on their training flights or whatever. Like, they start going through all this information and they're explaining it and stuff. It was such a bummer. Like, it was so anticlimactic that I was just like, did you need 2.5 hours to do this? To go to a news station and release all this information to the public? Did you need 2.5 hours to do this? And I just don't think you do, because and I say that you need to, because here's the crazy part. The guy, the main villain type guy, who is chasing them for over 2 hours in the film, when they finally got back to the news station for the last time and they were gonna run it, like they were gonna expose all the information, the guy who was chasing them, he finally got tired of chasing them and just sat down and let them run all the information. He sat down in the news station, like he was on the floor, and he just gave up and sat there and watched them run all the information. So at that point, I thought, if you were just gonna let them run the information, you could have did it at the beginning of the film. Like, you just got done chasing them, catching them, they're getting away, chase them, catch them, they get away, chase them, catch them, they get away, and then you chase them, and now you're in a news station, and you have a chance to shut the whole thing down finally for good, and you just decide, well, the information is just going to get out there. And the guy that was like second in command or second in charge, he's yelling at the main guy like, you're just gonna sit here and let them share all this information? And his boss didn't say anything. He just sat down in the chair and he just stared into space, like, just, it kind of felt like, we've already run 2 hours and 20 minutes, so we run out of time. Like, we can't drag this out anymore. The movie's over. So we sat there the last 6-7 minutes of the film watching footage of all the stuff that got leaked out. We sat there the last 6-7 minutes of the film watching all the leaked footage of stuff that I thought was going to happen throughout the film about the aliens. It was just in that last 6-7 minutes of the film. That was it. The other 2 hours and 20 minutes was the people getting chased. And chased and chased and chased and chased and chased. And like I said, Emily Blunt's character, she was really good, but between them getting chased for over 2 hours and then the whole thing about how are religious people going to respond, and then the climactic scene of the alien looking over the little girl wasn't really a climactic scene at all. It was, they were just giving them knowledge of who they were. To only get to the end and the main guy who was chasing him decided that he just wasn't going to chase him anymore. I don't know. So you guys have to let me know. You have to let me know what you thought of the film. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. You have to let me know what you think of the film. I don't know. And like I said, I think the downfall for me is I went into the film thinking it was going to be something that it was never intended to be. I completely misread or misjudged the trailers. And we've had so many films about aliens before that I was thinking, okay, it's gonna fit into this particular mold because of the those scenes that we saw. But oh my goodness. Yeah, I thought she was gonna be, her character was gonna be gone on this scene. I didn't think she was gonna make it. Because she was getting shot at. She was about to fall off the car. The car was being dragged by a train. And then the other train coming in the opposite direction was going to hit her. And I'm like, okay, she's... Of course she made it. Oh, man. This particular scene, I don't understand, because like I don't understand it, because he didn't do anything, right? Like he was the guy being chased. He didn't do anything. He was again running away, and he was going through a field, and he was trying to call somebody who was giving him help. And then this shape formed in the hay. I think it was hay, or in the cornfields, wherever this shape formed. Why didn't the aliens do this before? Like, why? You know what I mean? Like why didn't they? Because he didn't create this shape in the field. He's at this point, he's still trying to figure out like what's going on. He doesn't understand that he has powers or abilities yet to understand what the aliens are saying. And like he's still trying to figure out what's going on. So I don't know. But yeah, this was the biggest letdown for me. I just thought this was gonna be something else. Cause okay, from my point of view, in my defense, when you have a scene that's set up like this, where you have a child looking up above her with this giant alien head just sitting there staring at you, that's not good. It's not good. So how could I pull from this that the alien was actually there to help, or to just give the little girl some type of supernatural ability? I would not get that from this particular scene or still shot or glimpse into what the movie's gonna be. Yeah, that's usually not good. Yes, this also is not technically in the movie. It's just footage at the end. They ran a whole bunch of footage that had been classified, and they broadcasted it on the news so everyone could see it. So again, all this stuff that I thought I was gonna see during the film, it didn't happen. None of it happened. Oh my goodness. Yes, this you see this with the alien fingers coming up on her face. That was also in the trailer. And that's when I thought, oh my gosh, they're doing some type of see, now this is the type of still shot that I would say we as the audience, as the moviegoers, were misled by the trailer. Because there is no way in the world you can look at something like this and think, oh, the alien is just trying to make sure that she keeps her head up straight so that this advanced technology stuff can scan this thing into her eye so that the information they want her to get will get to her properly, right? They put some type of symbol into her iris. I don't know. That's what it looked like, right? So the creepy alien hands that's on her, they're just trying to keep her head from being still because she kept looking over there at the little boy next to her, because they're like on the edge of freaking out, right? So they're just trying to keep their head still. That's it. It's not a they're not doing experiments. Yes, they have the creepy fingers, but it's not. But how would I come to that conclusion looking at a 30-second, 60-second trailer? Like my mind would not go there. I looked at this scene in the trailer and I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna have to go. Like the military is gonna have to go, or a government agency is gonna have to go on an alien spaceship and rescue the little girl. And that wasn't the case at all. The government was just chasing them the entire time. The little girl walked freely onto the alien spacecraft. They didn't even have her strapped down. She just found herself laying there, and she kept turning her head, like I said, looking at the little boy, but she was kind of like frozen. I don't know what I was supposed to think, or what my first inclination of what this story was. I don't know what else I was supposed to go to other than she needed to be rescued. She was gonna get rescued. I'm waiting for the cavalry to show up to rescue the little. I'm waiting for the aliens to come. They're gonna take the girl out of her house. They're gonna put her on the ship, and then the government is gonna have to show up and break in before something crazier happens. That wasn't the case at all. That just, nope. It's like they tricked me. Yes, they put something on their eye, I guess. I don't know. This is the head guy who was chasing him the whole time, jumping in and out of people's bodies. He kept looking for where they were. He could see through other people's eyes when he jumped into them. And then he would tell all the agents, oh, this is where they are. Then all these cars and SUVs would go out and try to capture them. And then they kept not capturing them. And then he kept finding them again. And it was like, oh my gosh, it was 2 hours of that. And then the guy behind him was a guy who actually worked for the agency, but he decided that he didn't want to work for the guy anymore. So it was like, oh, he's the one that defected and started helping the tech guy who actually took I guess he put the information on flash drives. They look like flash drives. And he was like, I'm going to show this information to the rest of the world. I was like, oh my goodness. So yeah, he is the one who broke away from the whatever agency that was and started helping Emily Blunt's character and the other guy figure out what's going on, all of that. Oh boy. Oh, and they went through a lot of phones. They use a phone and then they break the phone. Then they use another phone and then they break the phone. Why do they keep breaking the phones? Because the phones can be tracked. So in this age of so much technology, it's hard not for the government to not know where you are. Because the phone is like a giant ping device. It just puts you on the map. And then this is him jumping. So when he jumps into someone else, his eyes change into that, because his eyes are naturally, I think they're naturally brown. But when he jumps into someone like Jane, then his eye color changes to her eye color, and he can see what that person sees. He learned how to move their body, limited amount, but and then he can project himself into the room and have conversations with that person. So he's like, oh, we're gonna find you, tell us where you are, blah blah blah, that sort of thing. He was creepy. But the thing is that every time he jumped into a person, his body couldn't handle that part of it. So he was having all kinds of health issues. I'm like, this dude is going to kill himself trying to do this. But anyway, that's when she went back to her recreated house. Like I said, I can see what they're trying to do. I just think that people went into the theater expecting something completely different. So the question would be, how can you tell a story in a trailer in a way that it gets the excitement going, but it's not misleading in any way. And I just felt like the trailer was just misleading without question. Oh my goodness. I felt like it was. But no, there was no alien takeover. There was nothing like that. There was no attack. There was no military action on large scales. Nothing. It was simply letting people know that there's aliens, like confirmed aliens. That was the whole thing. It's not, to me, it's just not 2.5 hours worth of story. It's just not. And then you get to the 2 hours and 10 minutes into it, and the main guy just decides that he's not gonna chase them anymore, and he's just gonna let the information get out. And we spend the last 10 minutes or so looking at footage and watching people respond to the footage that they see. I don't know. It was just, yeah, I don't know. So that's all I have, and I went over my time again, but um, I do come at this from a writer's perspective. So when I have critiques of films, it's always how would I have written this? How would I have advertised it or marketed this story? And like I said earlier, I think they should have just come from the perspective of it was flipped, right? Instead of the aliens probing humans, they should have gave some semblance of information that said the humans are probing the aliens. And now the aliens are the ones that need to be freed. And they can't be freed unless you get the information out. So that's the basis of the story. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying that that wasn't, like, they didn't tell anybody else that. That's what the story is. They marketed the movie as the aliens are probing the humans, which is why we saw the little girl on the table with the fingers on her cheeks, and you have the alien head just over her like this. That's how it was marketed. So if you market the movie that way, that's what people are going to expect when they go to the theater. And when they sit in the theater for 2 hours and they're just watching people get chased, and then the only thing that they see is footage of aliens being abused, and then you get into the part of religion and how people are going to think about God, and then the dude at the end just changing his mind and not making sure the footage doesn't get out. It was just like, I don't know. So I don't know. I know, like I said, I know the critic reviews are good, but in terms of the audience, um, I mean, it just wasn't good to me. um, and like I said at the beginning, Emily Blunt's character was good, for the most part, but just the direction of the story, yeah, I just didn't connect with it. So you you guys can leave what you thought of the film in the comments below, and I will. Oh my gosh. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.